I want to start off this video by saying an MMORPG, or more specifically an RPG, is all about progression. The first thing a player thinks when logging on to an MMORPG is, how do I progress my character from this point? And whatever they have to do to progress is what they're going to do, whether that be killing monsters, gathering, crafting, or PvPing. Now, some people are going to want to progress at different paces. Some people want to progress as fast as possible, while others just want to progress at a steady pace, and others don't care about progression at all. And that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, most people who play MMORPGs want to progress. They want to use their game time to progress their characters. That's why once games have the caps on progression and progression is over, a lot of people don't feel motivated to play because they have nothing to do. They have nothing to progress their character with. So having a sort of steady but slow progression system available in the game is great, and it adds longevity to the game, even though the progression is arbitrary and probably just basically made up. It still adds a lot to a game and can keep people entertained and engaged for a lot longer than they would if they had to wait for new content to come out, similar to Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. But you can always go to the other extreme, like games like Black Desert Online, where it takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to grind, maybe even thousands of hours to grind to the end game gear. And a lot of people don't really want that either. So I think New World found a great middle ground where you can get reasonably strong in a short amount of time, and then you can min max and get the best gear at a much slower pace, but not too slow to where it feels, unrealistic. So, in my opinion, New World has a very solid progression system in place. It's a very good progression system that they have in terms of gear, and it's going to keep a lot of people entertained for a decent amount of time, at least until they're able to add more content. Now, the problem that I have is when it comes to open world PvP. Now, as we all know, New World started out as a PvP forced game and was changed into a game where PvP is optional. Ever since that happened, the game has not exactly been fair in the side of PvP. Now, I'm going to explain why. Don't get upset. Let me explain. All right, so we can all agree that having force flagged on all the time for every player in the game is probably not the best option. But Amazon does believe that even though they turned off force flag, when you take the flag on, the optional flag, you do deserve to have some type of reward for doing that, and that reward should be tied to PvE. This is Amazon Game Studios who believes this. How do I know this? Well, you get an experience bonus for flagging. The experience bonus will help you progress your character faster, and it's something that you can only get while flagging. So therefore, Amazon Games believes that there should be a risk and reward system in place for flagging. Whether or not you or I agree with that is not a question. That is an objective fact. Now, the problem is once you reach level 60, you no longer have any risk versus reward when it comes to flagging. Flagging becomes only risk. And that's where the suggestion for 5% luck comes from. If you add 5% luck or some other number for luck as an incentive for flagging, that would then allow flagging to have the risk reward system that it already has, but have it indefinitely rather than temporarily, because level 60 is not very hard to get. Most players will receive level 60 within 2 to 3 weeks, and after that, they will have absolutely no reason to flag. And when I say no reason, I'm not talking a subjective reason. I'm not talking about for fun or your own personal enjoyment. I'm talking about by the game. The game does not give the player an objective reason to flag anymore after level 60. This is also a fact. So if Amazon Game Studios believes that it's necessary to reward the player for flagging before 60, why would they not believe that it's necessary to reward the player for flagging after 60? To me, it doesn't make any sense. It may be difficult to come up with a reasonable reward that isn't too overpowered for flagging after 60, but I believe luck is definitely in the ballpark. You could even implement a form of the bonus where you receive more luck the longer you're flagged. Say, for example, you started off at 1% and after 30 minutes it reached 20. This is just an example, but something like this will go a long way for adding long-term flagging into New World. Now you may be wondering, well, if people don't want to flag, they don't want to flag. Why do you feel the need to add incentive? Well, let me explain. Let's say, for example, I'm a player who wants to progress as fast as possible, but I do also enjoy open world PvP. But I prefer progression over open world PvP. Why would I flag after 60? I know for a fact that I will be able to progress my character faster without flagging. So therefore, why would I flag? It makes no sense. That is the issue. That's the problem. If I knew that I would get some type of incentive for flagging for my time, it would be perfectly reasonable for me to flag if I cared about progression. After level 60, it makes no sense to flag. Before level 60, it makes a lot of sense to flag because you'll be leveling up faster. Not very much faster, but faster nonetheless. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, flagging shouldn't be something that rewards you in PvE environments. It should be its own thing that rewards you for PvP only with leaderboards and all this other nonsense. Well, why doesn't PvE do that? Why doesn't PvE reward you with a leaderboard for killing a dungeon or a boss at the fastest speed and then give you no loot? Would that be okay? No, it wouldn't. You want loot, you want progression for PvE. So why is it that when a PvP player wants character progression for PvP, it's met with so much hatred and vitriol? We're not trying to take anything away from the PvE players. We're trying to provide PvP with meaningful rewards, just like PvE has. And don't bring up wars, don't bring up Outpost Rush. Those things are instance content just like dungeons are. Those things are not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about open world content. I'm talking about what makes an open world MMO what it is. If I wanted to play instance content, PvP content, I go play Valorant. I go play League of Legends. That's not what we're here for. We're here for an open world experience. That's what makes MMOs special. You can have an open world experience, an open world PvP experience while doing PvE. Say, for example, if I want to gather something and I gain a 5% luck boost, I have a better chance at gathering more materials when I gather. And if I go out flagged, I may get attacked by someone. That's a risk that I have to take. I have to make that decision. If I don't want to take that risk today, maybe I won't. But the way it is now, there's no reason to take that risk. The only time I'm going to flag is if I want to go look for other players to fight. And that is not healthy for long term. That's not healthy for long term for open world environment. It's just not healthy. This is a recipe for disaster for the open world scene in New World, and many people are going to stop flagging at a certain point when they think to themselves, well, I kind of want to progress today. And that it should never be that way. I should never have to choose between progression and open world flagging, because the moment I have to make that choice, that is one other player that had to make that choice, which means there are going to be less players flagged overall, which means the less players flagged, the less players that are going to be engaging with each other in the open world content. Another counter argument I see to this is, well, this isn't going to make people want to fight each other. It's going to make people want to flag up. Well, we can't control making people want to fight each other. We can only control making people be able to be fought. If a player is able to flag up, go outside, farm his resource, and get back inside safely, then he deserves it. He took the risk. No one said he had to die or fight anyone. He just has to take the risk. As long as he's willing to take the risk, he deserves the reward. It's risk versus reward. He did what he was supposed to do. If he went to a low populated area, flagged up, and got his reward without anyone noticing him, kudos, congratulations. That's a rewarding system. He took the risk either way. He didn't know who was going to be outside. So, in conclusion, if you're someone who cares about open world PvP lasting for a long time in New World, then you should be supporting this idea. While I understand it may feel unfair if you're someone who does not like to flag and you're losing out on 5% luck, please understand that 5% luck is not anywhere near as much luck as that you will be able to get if you're able to put on all perfect luck gear, while someone who doesn't have that on and only flags up will have to put on their actual gear in order to PvP other players with their actual gear on. They're only getting 5% luck while you can get close to 40. So that's a completely different thing, and you're holding us accountable for a system that is flawed, that we are trying to fix in order to make the game more enjoyable for us and make open world PvP more enjoyable for everyone, and a risk reward system that is supposed to be as Amazon themselves believe as well. There's no reason why there should not be an incentive to flag after 60 that the game has set in place. Not talking subjectivity about fun or anything like that. I don't want to hear the word fun because fun is subjective. What's fun to you may not be fun to me. Fun for me is progression. Fun for me is character progression as fast as possible. I don't care about anything else. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.